Okay, I record this video on Tuesday, the 26th of September, 2017. Do hope you are doing well. Not heard from me for a couple of weeks. That's because we've been traveling. Left Sydney. We were in Italy for a couple of weeks in Venice and Capri, which were both fantastic. Still crowded though, even mid-September, still jam-packed with tourists. So what can you do? But second time around for both places, and really enjoy them more the second time around because you know the ropes a little bit and you can kind of go see and do the things you really want to do. So that was fun. Now we're in France and back in our usual digs in France, and great to have decent internet. Sorry, Italy, you lost me. The internet is just crap in Italy. Wherever we went, just abysmal. Come to France, and the French just do infrastructure right. The trains are great, the roads are great, you know, the internet is great. Yeah, you pay through the nose with taxes and tolls and whatever, but at least it works. Anyway, so last week's activity was crappy for trading, and that's because the ranges were really tight. This is my handy dandy range indicator. Looks at the last 99 days and divides them up into high, medium, and low range days. And you can see the yellow bars here are low range days, and that was last week's activity. One of these days, we only had 4.75 points of range, which is just nutso. And I think it's just impossible to day trade ranges like that. Yesterday we had some decent range because we had a nice sell-off in the morning, and this morning has so far been okay. It's only 9 points top to bottom so far today. We might break into 10 or 11 points a day, who knows, but we had a nice little kind of short trade today. I want to talk through the setups for both of those trades in this video, but at some point I need to do a video on the macro stuff because we got some really interesting things setting up. Certainly crude, natural gas. We've got the emerging markets kind of selling off. USD has turned around. Gold and silver charts need kind of reviewing and so on. So I'll do those maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. But let's just talk about the E-mini today. We should be due for... This is the time of year when we have a little bit of seasonal weakness in September. This is the seasonality indicator, which you can download off the site. This is exactly 1 year ago. And this is typically what happens in September. This is the average of a whole bunch of previous years, and we have a lot of weakness around this time period. Yeah, we had a kind of couple of down days this last few days, but I don't know whether we're going to get a big sell-off or something's going to be bigger than what we had over the last couple of days. But let's at least just hope for some more volatility. Just some really kind of volatile days would be good. The 2500 number is turning out to be absolutely key. And that was kind of the reason, not the reason, but it was key for today's day trade and yesterday's day trade. Getting into that 2500 number was, I suppose psychologically one of the reasons why we kind of got knocked back. But let me talk you through today's trade, and then I'll do yesterday's trade. So there were nice little kind of setups. Today wasn't a picture perfect, and I don't think either of them were picture perfect, but they were nice kind of setups. This is the 500 tip bar chart, multiple time frame view of the indicators, and you can look at it in more detail with all the better Pro-Am and Rambo patterns on with better momentum, and this is the open of today, and then you kind of look at the system view. So yesterday we bottomed and had a nice little kind of rally overnight into the open, and you can see we did a whole bunch of things up here. We made pullback to end of trend on the lowest time frame, then we rippled through the time frames. We go through pullback to end of trend on the intermediate time frame, and this is all happening. We just overshot a little bit the highest time frame resistance. When we overshoot the highest time frame resistance, I always like to wait for the low risk entry point, which is a play back, a little retrace back after an initial weakness. So we have initial weakness here where we're breaking supports. We have a little retrace, and that's the low risk entry point here. And that little resistance, that's where I jumped in today. So today's trade, short 97 3/4 out at 92 3/4 for 5 on the way down here. So you could see it kind of maxed out. Wasn't a classic with an exhaustion buy bearish divergence, but this momentum pattern with better momentum here were showing people were really anxious to sell it down at that point. Now, sometimes we have little cracks down like that and it immediately bounces back. So it was worth kind of getting in here. But as soon as we're breaking more supports on the way down, we're confirmed into a downtrend at this point. All of that shows that weakness, bang, bang, bang. And we come out with pullback to end of trend. The highest time frame support comes in, we get a flush pattern, and we rally back from there. So with overshoots of the highest time frame, I wait for the low risk entry point. But if you're getting in on a bounce, for example, of the highest time frame here, sometimes not waiting for the low risk entry point for here and here, and just getting in on the immediate kind of breakthrough resistance is kind of good enough. So that's worth kind of bearing in mind. So that was today's kind of setup for the trade on the way down. The Rambo patterns have just been beautiful over the last couple of weeks. They showed where the amateurs were getting too anxious at this point, kind of buying this breakout, and they got taken out on their stops down here with two little Rambo patterns down at the bottom of this test. And that was, we had initial strength, but that was the reason why we bounced off there. The amateurs were getting wrong-footed at this point, and then we've had a bit of a rally from there. So that was today's day trade. Yesterday's day trade was another kind of interesting one with the Rambo patterns are absolutely key. So this is the open of the day. We'd had move into 2404. This is Sunday night into Monday pre-open. The open kind of comes in, but look at this. We had weakness going on, and that's what the white bars show. We never cracked up through resistance, so we never triggered into strength. So even though this move here was coming back up to 2500, absolutely key level, just like today's move above just above 2500 was kind of key. We had all that weakness going on, and then we had an initial amount of selling going on here, where we just kind of collapsed into this move on the way down. And then at the bottom we had Rambo patterns. We had two Rambo patterns at the top up here, and then we tested it in with more Rambo patterns, and then we rallied from there for the rest of the day. But that was an interesting one. I was actually long into this move because I thought we would crack through resistance, and then as soon as that volume came in where they just sold it down really hard, blue professional bar, Rambo patterns, bang, get short for that move. And then it was a question of just timing the exit on the way out. That was one of my best trades in a long while. Short 98 1/4, out at 87 1/2 for 10 3/4. So it's nice to have two trades like that. Takes the pressure off for the rest of the week when you get two nice trades under your belt Monday, Tuesday. Anyway, so there we go. I'll tag on those day trades. Lesson learned. Sometimes, with the markets where we're just moving from one extreme to another, we're just triggering, patterns. The Rambo patterns on 1500, really important, kind of watch for those. And sometimes we're just not getting those exhaustion buy signals with volume. We didn't get those on today's high or on yesterday's high there. We just didn't have that for classic kind of 5-step setups for rollover. But, when the Rambo patterns are telling you to go short and the volume is telling you to go short and gets confirmed, it's worth taking the trade. Good. Hope your trading's going well. Okay, just got short 98 1/4, short 98 1/4. Took profits on that long trade and reversed and gone short. It's just gone 9:31 a.m. We had a Dallas Fed manufacturing. Not sure if the numbers come out yet or not. But the reason we're going short is the double Rambo pattern on 1500, and followed by the blue professional bar, and a lot of selling going on just there. We could not get through 2500. We touched it briefly. We got a triple resistance here, one on 500, 15, and the 4500. And it's because of those Rambo patterns and that sell down, a little reverse and gone short. On this whole move up, you can see since the open, we didn't trigger into strength at all. It was weakness the whole time. So we've overshot this resistance on the highest time frame, got this exhaustion sell, but really that's just showing the strength of the selling at that point rather than this one, which was kind of bottoming us, and that's why I went long. But because we couldn't break through any of those, we're kind of coming back down. And sometimes these Rambo patterns on 1500 are just beautiful signals. So we need to continue through, kind of break this down. Cyclical support's due at some point on 500. Alright, there we go. We got the break of support on the 500 tip bar chart, giving us more weakness here. So this whole move has been weak the whole time, and that exhaustion sell from here to here was just showing the strength of the selling continued. So I think we're going to break today's low, get through 95s, and then we'll go see some more exhaustion patterns, because this is getting us going, and then they'll need to kind of pick it up at the end of this trend move. So let's go do that. And we'll ride this thing down and just see where it goes. But 95 is going to be the next. That one was 95. Even pre-open it was 94.75. So that's going to be absolute critical level. All right, well that happened quickly. We got to 95s in no time at all. So low for the day. 94.75 was the low pre-open. What are we looking at for levels? 95 and a quarter, 95 and a quarter. I forget what the open was, 94 and a half. So critical levels 95. We'll probably get a bit of a technical bounce. We usually do off kind of a significant previous low. Plus we got this cyclical support at 1500 kind of due soon. But no blue professional bars, not even on the 500 kind of come in here. I moved my target well out of the way, because this could get interesting on the downside. And as we're coming down to the 95 levels, let's just see what happens when we break through. There's going to be a stop run to be had, and it could get interesting. All right, well this is really speeded up now. We hit the 91s. No blue professional bars really since the 94s here. Rambo pattern on the MTF chart there, which kind of mirrors this one. Okay with that. We're getting back down to exhaustion type levels again on this chart, and that's what I was kind of looking for as some kind of signal that that might be the end of this move. But let's see. Still going to make end of trend on the 500. Cyclical support's in due on 4500, but yeah, we could even easily get an overshoot of that. But yeah, let's just keep holding and see where we go. Well into the money here on this trade. I've got my target sitting just miles out of the way just because it's getting interesting. So let's just keep holding. Bingo! Just out at 87.50. And so what is that? 10 3/4? 10 3/4 points. Very happy with that. I had movement target out to 10 points, which is I never do more than 10 points on a trade, and then it just accelerated, kind of went a little bit exponential on the downside there, and I was moving out to 87.25. Didn't get filled, so I just moved it to 87.5. Excellent. It's not over though on the downside, because we've got to go pull back into trend on the 500 tip bar chart, and I think we're going to put another exhaustion pattern on 1500. But I don't want to sit through the retrace, and I think it's going to be, could be violent retraces as people try to take profits. Anyway, so for time being, that's good. So funny old day, and ended up all being played off those double Rambo patterns up there. Yeah, here we go. We're coming around to have a test down at the 87s again. Okay, just got short 97 and 3/4. Short 97 and 3/4. This happened quickly. We had a break of support in the 500 tip bar chart. We did a little pullback. We just pulled back in a downtrend, and then this sold off really fast. We had a nice little pattern, kind of end of trends. So you can see here, this is the open today. Blue professional bars on the 4500 tip bar chart up at those highs. And we had a little pullback to end of trend on the lowest time frame, pullback to end of trend on the intermediate time frame. First sign of weakness here with a break, come back for a low risk entry point. So now we need to get through this support level on the intermediate time frame to show that we're in a confirmed downtrend. Quite a lot of selling here. Two minds about this. One is that it's too early. And that we had a whole bunch of selling, and then it ends up kind of bouncing hard back up and going for an exhaustion buy before rolling over. It's possible. Or that's it. It was just, we topped out at 2500 and the market just rolled over and people were anxious to kind of get out. Seemingly we're breaking down, which is good. This has got some time to run resistance to support on the highest time frame. So let's see, hopefully this will kind of continue down. I always wait for the low risk entry points. Once we've overshot a support or resistance on the highest time frame, look for the low risk entry point as a retest. Sometimes when we just bounce off the support or resistance, we can just kind of jump in almost at the first sign of strength. But anyway, so that's good. We're breaking down to 97s. Here we go. It's a Rambo pattern on the MTF chart, which ain't great. There it is, popping up on the 1500 tip bar chart. And these honestly have been just unbelievably good signals for reversal trades for weeks and weeks. And yesterday was an absolute classic when we sold off here. Bang. It was like a 14-point trend move on the way down, and the Rambo pattern caught the bottom of the move as well. But we need to kind of break back up through the highs of that Rambo bar, or a bar around it. And if we keep going through the lows, that's all good. So we're down at 96.5, right? All right, it's just having a look to see what kind of levels this thing might start to accelerate at. And clearly around this 94, 95 area, that is pretty important. We're coming through there now, so that might cause us a nice kind of acceleration in the downside move. And where this thing kind of took off on the upside is 92s, 91s, 92s. So that's an area where potentially we could get a bounce at. Well, here we go. We're at 94.75. So a point away from target. No blue professional bars yet on the 1500. Which should be the first sign of profit taking. All right, blue professional bar coming on the 4500 tip bar chart. Just one down bar on 1500. Yeah, this potentially could signal an area of support kind of coming in here, but there's nothing on these time frames to signal where that might be. Is that a bullish divergence lining up? No exhaustion sell kind of down here. My target's 93.75 at 4 points, although I've moved it well out. It's kind of just slowed down. Okay, the MTF chart's shown support kind of come in here. That's interesting. And there's those big blue professional bars on the 4500. All right, we're coming up to initial target 93.75. I put my target at 92.75. Are we going to get a little bit of travel that far through? Maybe not. It is super slow. But we're putting in another little pullback to end a trend on the 500 tip bar chart. And could we see a little run? This kind of 94, 95 levels pretty key. Just a little pickup on activity. There's one blue professional bar here, but this one's there. Come on. And bingo, just taken out at 92.75. Excellent. And is that a good place? Are we going to go further? possibly, but that was a minus 10,000 read on better momentum, and so that might give us, this one was 12, could give us a flush reading, and blue professional bars kind of come in here. What was the absolute low? 2.25. So, and rainbow pattern and end of trend there. I'm actually quite happy with that, just because it was slow. But is it going to go make a proper exhaustion pattern on 1500? Because we've not had a another blue professional down bar coming on 1500. We have a bunch kind of going on here. That's okay. I'm okay with that. So yeah, classic little pullback and a trend, pullback and trend. Didn't top out with an exhaustion buy on a left shoulder or anything like that. It was just kind of a price pattern. Quite a lot of selling here to get the move going. In on the lowest entry point here, that pullback level, and it continued to break down and down. Good for the initial target at 4 and out at 5. So that's nice. Let's see where it goes. Yeah, a bunch of blue professional bars, nothing blue coming on 1500 yet.